Right, we're back, people of Earth. It's 3:59 p.m. on Wednesday, the 15th of January 2025, and we got cut off because I should have known better. My iPhone storage sucks, and I've got to work out how to clear it all because it's been going on like this for months and it's ruining my vibe, people of Earth. Ruining my vibe. So I've brought the laptop out into the garden. I've got us all plugged in, hooked up, and tickety-boo. We just started to sort this. And we'll continue on intrepidly until I get too tired or bored or whichever happens first, people of Earth. So we got cut off at the point of reading the two sisters who were jealous of their younger sister. And halfway through a paragraph, so I'll start from the paragraph from the beginning where we got cut off. So the narrator has just stated that the younger sister is still treating her spiteful elder sisters with great affection and favour and trying to think of ways to get them out of their lower state to a better, higher class, while meanwhile they're deliberating on ways to bring down her downfall or her imminent death. Nice. Not. So we continue on. Now when some months of her wedded life had passed, the fair queen was found to be with child, whereof the glad tidings filled the Shah with joy, and straightway he commanded all the people of the capital and throughout the whole empire keep holiday with feasts and dancing, and every manner jollity as became so rare and important an occasion. But as soon as the news came to the ears of the two envious sisters, they were constrained perforce to offer their congratulations to the queen, and after a long visit, as the twain were about to crave dismissal, they said, "Thanks be to Almighty Allah, O our sister, who hath shown us this happy day. One boon have we to ask of thee, to wit, that when the time shall come for thee to be delivered of a child, we may assist as midwives at thy confinement, and be with thee and nurse thee for the space of 40 days. The queen in her gladness made reply, "O sisters mine, I fain would have it so, for at a time of such need I know of none on whom to rely with such dependence as upon you. During my coming trial, your presence with me will be most welcome and opportune, but I can do only what thing the Shah biddeth, and nor can I do aught save by his leave. My advice is thus: make known this matter to your mates, who have always access to the royal presence, and let them personally apply for your attendance as midwives. I doubt not but that the Shah will give you leave to assist me and remain by my side, considering the fond relationship between us three." Then the two sisters returned home full of evil thoughts and malice, and told their wishes to their husbands, who in turn bespake Khusrau Shah, and preferred their petition with all humility, little knowing what was hidden from them in the secret purpose. The king replied, "When I shall have thought the matter over in my mind, I will give you suitable orders." So saying, he so saying, he privately visited the queen, and to her said, O my lady, an it please thee, methinks 'twould be well to summon thy sisters and secure their aidance, when thou shalt be labouring with child, in lieu of any stranger. And if thou be of the same mind as myself, let me at once learn and take steps to obtain their consent and concert ere thy time arriveth. They will wait on thee with more loving care than any hired nurse, and thou wilt find thyself the safer in their hands. Replied the queen, O my lord the Shah, I also venture to think that 'twould be well to have my sisters by my side, and not mere aliens at such an hour. Accordingly he sent word to them, and from that day they dwelt within the palace, to make all ready for the expected confinement, and on this wise they found means to carry their despiteful plot, which during so many days they had devised, to scanty purpose. When her full tale of months had been told, the Banu was brought to bed of a man-child, marvellous in beauty, whereat the fire of envy and hatred was kindled with redoubled fury in the sisters' breasts. So they again took counsel, not suffered ruth nor natural affection to move their cruel hearts. Ruth means compassion. And presently, with great care and secrecy, they wrapped the newborn in a bit of blanket, and putting him into a basket, cast him into a canal which flowed hard by the queen's apartment. Sounds a bit like the story of Moses, doesn't it? Different reasons though. They then placed a dead puppy in the place of the prince, and showed it to the other midwives and nurses, averring that the queen had given birth to such abortion. Oh, that's just awful, isn't it? When these untoward tidings reached the king's ear, he was sore discomfited, and waxed wroth with exceeding wrath. The king, inflamed with sudden fierceness, drew his sword, and would have slain his queen, had not the grand wazir, who happened to be in his presence at the time, restrained his rage and diverted him from his unjust design and barbarous purpose. Quoth he, O shadow of Allah upon earth, this mishap is ordained of the Almighty Lord, whose will no man hath power to gainsay. The queen is guiltless of offence against thee, for what is born of her is born without her choice, and she indeed hath no hand therein. With this and other sage counsels, he dissuaded his lord from carrying out his fell purpose, and saved the guiltless queen from a sudden and cruel death. Meanwhile, the basket wherein lay the newly born prince was carried by the current into a rivulet which flowed through the royal gardens, and, as the intendant of the pleasure grounds and pleasaunces chanced to walk along the bank, by the decree of destiny, he caught sight of the basket floating by, and he called a gardener, bidding him lay hold of it and bring it to him, that he might see what was therein. The man ran along the rivulet's side, and with a long stick drawing the basket to land, showed it to the intendant, who opened it, and beheld within a newborn babe, a boy of wondrous beauty, wrapped in a bit of blanket, at which sight he was astounded beyond measure of surprise. Now it chanced that the intendant, who was one of the emirs, and who stood high in favour with the sovereign, had no children. Withal, he never ceased offering prayers and vows to Almighty Allah, that he might have a son to keep alive his memory and continue his name. Delighted at the sight, he took home the basket with the babe, and giving it to his wife said, "See how Allah hath sent to us this man-child, which I just now found floating upon the waters. And do thou apply thee forthright, and fetch a wet nurse to give him milk and nourish him, and bring him up with care and tenderness, as though he were thine own." So the intendant's wife took charge of the child with great gladness, and reared him with her whole heart, diligently, as though born of her own womb. Nor did the intendant say aught to any, or seek to find out whose might be the child, lest haply someone claim and take it from him. He was certified in his mind that the boy came from the queen's quarter of the palace, but deemed inexpedient to make too strict inquiry concerning the matter, and he and his spouse kept the secret with all secrecy. Charlie's climbing down the tree, literally climbing. She's got a drop of about a foot and she's hesitating, hanging off the branch. And, the king is here. "Hello, my king. How are you? Beautiful boy is here." Oh, I can't show you because I can't film on my bloody iPhone. Oh, he's beautiful. If I'm quiet, he might come closer. Charlie, the king parrot is here. Yes, he is. He's come to see us. We're very lucky. It's right above my head. Gorgeous. A year after this, the queen gave birth to a second son, when her sisters, the Satanesses full of spite, did with this babe, even as they had done by the first. They wrapped it in a cloth and set it in a basket, which they threw into the stream, then gave out that the queen had brought forth a kitten. He's still watching me. Where's my boy? Going about his business being a bird, as so he should. But once more, by the mercy of Allah Almighty, this boy came to the hands of that same intendant of the gardens, who carried him to his wife and placed him under her charge, with strict injunctions to take care of the second foundling sedulously as she had done with the first. The Shah, enraged to hear the evil tidings, got pepper stuck in my teeth from the pastrami. Enraged to hear the evil tidings, again rose up to slay the queen, But as before, the Grand Wazir prevented him and calmed his wrath with words of wholesome rede, and a second time saved the unhappy mother's life. And after another year had gone by, the Banu was brought to bed, and this time bore a daughter, by whom the sisters did as they had done by her brothers. They set the innocent inside a basket and threw her into the stream, and the intendant found her also, and took her to his wife, and bade her rear the infant together with the other two castaways. Hereupon the envious sisters, wild with malice, reported that the queen had given birth to a musk-ratling, whereat King Khusrau could no longer stay his wrath and indignation. So he cried in furious rage to the Grand Wazir, "What? Shall the Shah suffer this woman, who beareth naught but vermin and abortions, to share the joys of his bed? Nay more, the king can no longer allow her to live, else she will fill the palace with monstrous births. In very sooth she is herself a monster, and it behoveth us to rid this place of such unclean creature and accursed." So saying, the Shah commanded them do her to death, but the ministers and high officers of the state, who stood before the presence, fell at the royal feet and besought pardon and mercy for the queen. The Grand Wazir also said with folded hands, "O Shah-i-Shar, O King of the Kings, thy slave would fain represent that 'tis not in accordance with the course of justice or the laws of the land to take the life of a woman for no fault of her own. She cannot interfere with destiny, nor can she prevent unnatural births such as have thrice betided her, and such mishaps have oftentimes befallen other women whose cases call for compassion and not punishment. And the king be displeased with her, then let him cease to live with her, and the loss of his gracious favour will be a penalty dire enough. And if the Shah cannot suffer the sight of her, then let her be confined in some room apart, and let her expiate her offence by alms deed and charity, till Israel, the angel of death," I think they mean Azrael, but I guess that's the Arabic pronunciation, "separate her soul from her flesh." Hearing these words of counsel from his aged counsellor, Khusrau Shah recognized that it had been wrong to slay the queen, for that she could on no wise do away with aught that was determined by fate and destiny, and presently he said to the Grand Wazir, "Her life is spared at thine intercession, O wise man and ware. Yet will the king doom her to a weird, which haply is hardly less hard to bear than death. And now do thou forthright make ready, by the side of the cathedral mosque, a wooden cage with iron bars, and lock the queen therein, as one would confine a ferocious wild beast. Then every Mussulman who wendeth his way to public prayers shall spit in her face ere he set foot within the fane, and if any fail to carry out this command, he shall be punished in like manner." Isn't that awful? The poor woman. "So place guards and inspectors to enforce obedience, and let me hear if there be aught of gainsaying. The wazir durst not make reply, but carried out the Shah's commandments, and this punishment inflicted upon the blameless queen had far better befitted her envious sisters. The cage was made ready with all speed, and when the 40 days after purification of childbed had come to an end, the Banu was locked therein, and according to the king's commandment, all who came to prayer in the great mosque would first spit in her face. The hapless woman, well knowing that she was not worthy of this ignominy, bore her sufferings with all patience and fortitude, nor were they few who deemed her blameless and undeserving to endure these torments and tortures inflicted upon her by the Shah, and they pitied her and offered prayers and made vows for her release. Meanwhile, the intendant of the gardens and his wife brought up the 2 princes and the princess with all love and tenderness, and as the children grew in years, their love for these adopted ones increased in like proportion. They gave the eldest prince the name Bahman, and to his brother Parvez, and as the maiden was of beauty and passing of loveliness and graciousness, they called her Parizada. When the princes became of years to receive instruction, the intendant of the gardens appointed tutors and masters to teach them reading and writing, and all the arts and sciences. The princess also, showing like eagerness to acquire knowledge, was taught letters by the same instructors, and soon could read and write with as perfect fluency as could her brothers. Then they were placed under the most learned of the philosophers and the Olema, who taught them the interpretation of the Koran and the sayings of the Apostle, the science of geometry, as well as poetry and history, and even the abstruse sciences and the mystic doctrines of the enlightened. And their teachers were astonished to find how soon and how far all 3 made progress in their studies, and bid fair to outstrip even the sages, however learned. Moreover, they all 3 were reared to horsemanship and skill in the chase, to shooting with shafts and lunging with lance, and sway with sabre, and jerking the jereed with other manly and warlike sports. Besides all this, the Princess Parizada was taught to sing and play on various instruments of mirth and merriment, wherein she became the peerless pearl of her age and time. The intendant was exceeding glad of heart to find his adopted children prove themselves such proficients in every branch of knowledge, and presently, forasmuch as his lodging was small and unfit for the growing family, he bought at a little distance from the city a piece of land sufficiently large to contain fields and meadows and copses. Here he fell to building a mansion of great magnificence, and busied himself day and night with supervising the architects and masons and other artificers. He adorned the walls inside and out with sculptural work of the finest and paintings of the choicest, and he fitted every apartment with richest furniture. In the front of his mansion, he bade lay out a garden and stocked it with scented flowers and fragrant shrubs and fruit trees, whose produce was that of paradise, a bit like my little paradise here. There was, moreover, a large park girt on all sides by a high wall, wherein he reared game, both fur and feather, as sport for the two princes and their sister. And when the mansion was finished and fit for habitation, the intendant, who had faithfully served the Shah for many generations of men, craved leave of his lord that he might bid adieu to the city and take up his abode in his new country seat. And the king, who had always looked upon him with the eye of favour, granted to him the required boon right heartily. Furthermore, to prove his high opinion of his old servant and his services, he inquired of him if he had aught to request that it might be granted to him. Replied the other, O my liege lord, thy slave desireth Dear goddess, it doesn't look good, does it? My skin looks all crepey and horrible. I wonder why that is. Anyway, staying alive, people of Earth. Staying the fuck alive. For no other reason than to just piss off my enemies. Of course, I want my happy ending one day, but let's be real here. Let's just be a bit real. I'm just going to grab a glass of water. What you doing, Charlie? You've got yourself in a very difficult position there. You can't get up and you can't get down. Right, people of Earth. Can't remember where I was up to, dear goddess. It's funny how I suddenly just get lost in space. Oh, well, never mind. Let's start from a paragraph. I think I did read that, but anyway, start from there. And when the mansion was finished and fit for habitation, the intendant, who had faithfully served the Shah for many generations of men, craved leave of his lord that he might bid adieu to the city and take up his abode in his new country seat. And the king, who had always looked upon him with the eye of favour, granted to him the required boon right heartily. Furthermore, to prove his high opinion of his old servant and his services, he inquired of him if he had aught to request that it might be granted to him. Oh yes, I had read that, because I had to put in there, to be granted to him. You coming, Charlie? You coming to see Mummy? You coming to see the mama too? The one and only. Your one and only human mother. She's on her way over. Do you want me to pick you up when you get closer? You can't get to me from there. You'll have to go all the way back down and come all the way down. She says, don't torment me, Mummy. Don't torment me, Mother. You coming or not? Okay, you stay in the tree and be happy, Charlie. It's tree time. It's her happy time. Replied the other, O my liege lord, thy slave desireth naught save that he may spend the remnant of his days under the shadow of the Shah's protection, with body and soul devoted to his service, even as I served the side. I think that should say sire, before the sun. Yes, that's a typo. Oh, you've got to keep your wits about you reading this book. There's quite a few little typos. You ready to come to Mama? Come on then. Come on. I know. Come on. I'm here. I'm waiting for you. The Shah dismissed him with words of thanks and comfort. When he left the city and taking with him the two princes and their sister, he carried them to his newly built mansion. Some years before this time, his wife had departed to the mercy of Allah, and he had passed only 5 or 6 months in his second home, when he too suddenly felt sick and was admitted into the number of those who have found ruth, or compassion. Charlie! The king parrot didn't stick around for very long, did he? Typical bloke. Came, said good day, and flew away. I think she does want me now. She's making frustrated little birdie body language gestures. Come on then. Come down. Come on. Yes, I know. Oh, isn't it a glorious day, Charlie? It's an absolutely stunning day. Yes. Oh, you want to bite me now? That's not very friendly, is it? I get you out of the tree and the cuddles and you bite me. Withal, he had neglected every occasion of telling his 3 foundlings the strange tale of their birth, and how he had carried them to his home as castaways, and had reared them as rearlings, and had cherished them as his own children, which is very kind, actually. But, oh, did you just pull me, Charlie? That's not very nice. No, it's not. I don't have a wet cloth here. I have to go and get one, won't I? Oh, anyway. But he had time to charge them ere he died, that they 3 should never cease to live together in love and honour and affection and respect one towards the other. The loss of their protector caused them to grieve with bitter grief, for they all thought he was their real father, and so they bewailed him and buried him as befitted, after which the 2 brothers and their sister dwelt together in peace and plenty. But one day of the days, the princes, who were full of daring and of the highest mettle, rode forth a-hunting, and Princess Parizade was left alone at home, when an ancient woman of the Muslims, a recluse and a devotee, came to the door and begged leave to enter within and repeat her prayers, as it was then the canonical hour, and she had but time to make the wuzu ablution. Parizadar bade being her, and saluted her with the salam, and kindly welcomed her. Then, when the holy woman had made an end of her orisons, the handmaids of the princess, at her command, conducted her all through the house and grounds, and displayed to her the rooms with their furniture and fittings, and, lastly, the garden and orchard and game park. She was well pleased with all she saw, and said within herself, "The man who built this mansion and laid out these parterres and vergiers was verily an accomplished artist, and a wight of marvellous skill." At last the slaves led her back to the princess, who, awaiting her return, was sitting in the belvedere, and quoth she to the devotee, "Come, O good my mother, do thou sit beside me, and make me happy by the company of a pious recluse, whom I am fortunate enough to have entertained unawares, and suffer I listen to thy words of grace, and thereby gain no small advantage in this world and the next. Thou hast chosen the right path, and straight whereon to walk, and that which all men strive for and pine for." The holy woman would fain have seated herself at the feet of the princess, but she courteously arose, and took her by the hand, and constrained her to sit beside her. Quoth she, "O my lady, mine eyes never yet beheld one so well mannered as thou art. Indeed, I am unworthy to sit with thee, natheless, as thou biddest, I will e'en do thy bidding." As they sat conversing, each with other, the slave girls set before them a table, whereon were placed some platters of bread and cakes, with saucers full of fruits both fresh and dried, and various kinds of cates and sweetmeats. Cates, Cates, I guess cheeses or delicacies of some kind. The princess took one of the cakes. Oh, so it was meant to say cakes. The princess took, oh no, the cakes were mentioned earlier, so cakes must be something else. I'm a bit confused and I don't have my phone to, or do I? Do I have my phone to Google with? Aha, people of Earth. Let's find out what a cate is. It's going to grind my gears. I hate when my gears are ground. A choice food, a delicacy. So, my guess was accurate. For once, I was accurate, people of Earth. Accurate. I like it when I'm accurate. Still uploading the first video, which is cray. Should have uploaded by now. What does it really matter though? The princess took one of the cakes, and giving it to the good woman, said, "O my mother, refresh thyself herewith, and eat of the fruits such as thou likest. 'Tis now long since thou didst leave thy home, and I trow thou hast not tasted aught of food upon the road. Replied the holy woman, O lady of gentle birth, I am not wont to taste of dainty dishes such as these, but I can ill refuse thy provision, since Allah the Almighty deigneth send me food and support by so liberal and generous a hand as thine. And when they twain had eaten somewhat and cheered their hearts, the princess asked the devotee concerning the manner of her worship and of her austere life, whereto she made due answer and explained according to her knowledge. Thirsty Charlie. The princess then exclaimed, Tell me, I pray thee, what thou thinkest of this mansion, and the fashion of its building, and the furniture, and the appurtenances. And say me, is all perfect and appropriate, or is aught still lacking in mansion or garden? And she replied, Since thou deignest ask my opinion, I confess to thee that both the buildings and the parterres are finished and furnished to perfection, and the belongings are in the best of taste and in the highest of ordinance. Where are you going, crazy bird? Are we still filming? Oh, dear goddess. She's looked something. Let's have a look. No, we're right. Still to my thinking, there be three things here wanting. What if thou hadst the place would be most complete? So which if thou hadst the place would be most complete? No, look, stop touching the keyboard because it's anarchy and chaos when you do that. Just got no idea that she books this off. The princess Parizada adjured her, saying, O my aunt, I beseech thee tell me what three articles yet are lacking, that I may lose no pains nor toil to obtain them. And as the maiden pressed her with much entreaty, the devotee was constrained to tell her. Quoth she, look even more like a hobbit. There we go. That's better. O gentle lady. Yes, I know. O gentle birdie. Here's synchronicity. Look at what we were just about to say. Quoth she, O gentle lady, the first thing is the speaking bird. You speak, don't you, Charlie? You say, hello, what's up, Bobo? I'm told you say, what are you doing, but I've never heard you say it. What else do you say, Charlie? Kissy, kissy? Sometimes. Anyway, the first thing is the speaking bird called Bulbul-i Hazar Dastan. He is very rare and hard to find out, but whenever he poureth out his melodious notes, thousands of birds fly to him from every side and join him in his harmony, Charlie. Join him in his harmony. The next thing is the singing tree. Our trees sing, don't they, Charlie? Especially the bamboo, although technically that's not a tree but a kind of a grass, but you heard it singing before when the wind whipped through it. It's quite wonderful. It's quite wonderful, isn't it, Charlie? Whose smooth and glossy leaves, when shaken by the wind, and rubbed against one another, send forth tuneful tones which strike the ear like the notes of sweet voices, minstrels ravishing the heart of all who listen. The third thing is the golden water of transparent purity, whereon should but one drop be dripped into a basin, and this be placed inside the garden. It presently will fill the vessel brimful, yes, hello, and will spout upwards in gerbs, playing like a fountain that jets. Moreover, it never ceaseth playing, and all the water as it shooteth up, which reminds me I've got to clean the filter in my fish pond. Should be doing that today since it's a lovely day. Doesn't take long. It's just an effort. An effort, Charlie. And all the water as it shooteth up falleth back down again inside the basin, not one gout thereof being lost. Replied the princess, I doubt not that thou knowest for a certainty the very spot where these Ow! That wasn't nice, Charlie. What'd you do that for? Mean little bird. Hit me quite hard then. Mean little birdie. Yes, you're being mean. I doubt not that thou knowest for a certainty the very spot where these wondrous things are to be found, and I pray thee tell me now the place, and means whereby I may take action to obtain them. The holy woman thus answered the princess, These three rarities are not to be found, save on the boundary line that lieth between the land of Hind, which is India, and the confining countries, a score of marches along the road that leadeth eastwards from this mansion. Let him who goeth forth in quest of them ask the first man he meeteth on the 20th stage concerning the spot where he may find the speaking bird, the singing tree, and the golden water, and he will direct the seeker where to come upon all three. When she had made an end of speaking, the devotee, with many blessings and prayers and vows for her well-being, farewelled the lady Perizida and fared forth homewards. The princess, however, ceased not to ponder her words, and ever to dwell in memory upon the relation of the holy woman, who, never thinking that her hostess had asked for information save by way of curiosity, nor really purposed in mind to set forth with intent of finding the rarities, had heedlessly told all she knew and had given a clue to the discovery. But Perizida kept these matters deeply graven on the tablets of her heart, with firm resolution to follow the directions, and, by all means in her power, to gain possession of these three wonders. Withal, the more she reflected, the harder appeared the enterprise, and her fear of failing only added to her unease. You're full of mischief today, Charlie. And frankly, you're a little bit smelly. I think you should have a bath. I'm going to put you in the bath in a sec. Go have a bath. No, have a bath. What am I feeding you? Smelly bird, smelly bird. Oh, she's living her best life. It's not so bad, is it? Right, where were we? I've lost where we were. Mama T went drifting. She went drifting. Ah, right. So, but Perizida kept these matters deeply graven on the tablets of her heart with firm resolution to follow the directions, and by all means in her power to gain possession of these three wonders. Withal, the more she reflected, the harder appeared the enterprise, and her fear of failing only added to her unease. Now, whilst she sat perplexed, with anxious thought, and anon terrified with sore affright, her brothers rode back from the hunting ground, and they marvelled much to see her, sad of semblance and low-spirited, wondering the while what it was that troubles her. Presently quoth Prince Bahman, O sister mine, why art thou so heavy of heart this day? Almighty Allah forbid thou ill in health, or that aught have betided thee to cause thy displeasure, or to make thee melancholy. Tell us, I beseech thee, what it is, that we may be sharers in thy sorrow, and be alert to aid thee. The princess answered not a word, but, after long silence, raised her head and looked up at her brothers. Then, casting down her eyes, she said in curt phrase that naught was amiss with her. Quoth Prince Bahman, full well I wot that there is a somewhat on thy mind which thou hesitateth to tell us. And now hear me swear a strong oath that I will never leave thy side till thou shalt have told us what cause it is that troubleth thee. Haply thou art aweary of our affection, and thou wouldst undo the fraternal tie which hath united us from our infancy. When she saw her brothers so distressed and distraught, she was compelled to speak, and said, Albeit, O my dearlings, to tell you wherefore I am sad and sorrowful may cause you grief, still there is no help that I explain the matter to you twain. This mansion, which our dear father, who hath found Ruth, builded for us, is perfect in every attribute, nor lacketh it any condition of comfort or completion. Howbeit, I have found out by chance this day that there are yet three things which, were they set within these walls of the house and grounds, would make our place beyond compare, and in the wide world there would be naught with it to pair. These three things are the speaking bird, and the singing tree, and the golden water. And ever since I heard of them, my heart is filled with extreme desire to place them within our domain, and excessive longing to obtain them by any means within my power. It now behoveth you to help me with your best endeavour, and to consider what person will aid me in getting possession of these rarities. Replied Prince Bahman, my life and that of my brother are at thy service, to carry out thy purpose with heart and soul. And couldst thou give me but a clue to the place where these strange things are found, I would sally forth in quest of them at daybreak, as soon as the morning shall morrow. When Prince Parvez understood that his brother was about to make this journey, he spake, saying, O my brother, thou art eldest of us, so do thou stay at home, while I go forth to seek for these 3 things, and bring them to our sister. And indeed, it were more fitting for me to undertake a task which may occupy me for years. Replied Prince Bahman, I have full confidence in thy strength and prowess, and whatso I am able to perform, thou canst do as well as I can. Still, it is my firm resolve to fare forth upon this adventure alone and unaided, and thou must stay and take care of our sister and our house. So next day Prince Bahman learned from the princess the road whereon he was to travel, and the marks and signs whereby to find the place. Presently he donned armour and arms, and bidding the twain adieu, he took horse, and was about to ride forth with the stoutest of hearts, whereat Princess Parizada's eyes brimmed with tears, and in faltering accents she addressed him, saying, O dear my brother, this bitter separation is heart-breaking, and sore sorrowful am I to see thee part from us. This disunion and thine absence in a distant land cause me grief and woe far exceeding that wherewith I mourned and pined for the rarities wherefore thou quittest us. If only we might have some news of thee from day to day, then would I feel somewhat comforted and consoled. But not 'tis clear otherwise, and regret is of none avail. Prince Bahman made answer in these words, O sister mine, I am fully determined in mind to attempt this daring do. Be thou not, however, anxious or alarmed, for, Inshallah, God willing, I shall return successful and triumphant. After my departure, shouldst thou at any time feel in fear for my safety, then by this token which I leave thee, thou shalt know of my fate and lot, good or evil. Then, drawing from his waist drawer a little hunting knife like a whittle, he gave it to Princess Parizada, saying, Take now this blade, and keep it ever by thee, and shouldst thou at any day or hour be solicitous concerning my condition, draw it from its sheath, and if the steel be clean and bright, and as 'tis now, then know that I am alive and safe and sound. I look really fucking swollen today too. What the fuck? Anyway, never mind. But an thou find stains of blood thereon, then shalt thou know that I am slain, and naught remaineth for thee to do save to pray for me. as for one dead. With these words of solace, the prince departed on his journey and travelled straight along the road to India, turning nor to right hand nor to left, but ever keeping the same object in view. Thus a score of days were spent in journeying from the land of Iran. And upon the 20th he reached the end of his travel. Here he suddenly sighted an ancient man of frightful aspect, sitting beneath a tree hard by his thatched hut, wherein he was wont to shelter himself from the rains of spring and the heats of summer and the autumnal miasmas and the wintry frosts. I like that. Autumnal miasmas. So shorten in years was this sheikh that hair and beard, mustachios and whiskers, were white as snow, and the growth of his upper lip was so long and so thick that it covered and concealed his mouth, while his beard swept the ground, and the nails of his hands and feet had grown to resemble the claws of a wild beast, also Upon his head he wore a broad-brimmed hat of woven palm leaves, like that of a Malabar fisherman, and all his remaining habit was a strip of matting girded around his waist. Now this sheikh was a darwish who for many years had fled the world and all worldly pleasures, who lived a holy life of poverty and chastity. Don't laugh, it's not funny. And other worldliness, whereby mine was not by choice. It was an affliction, I tell you, an affliction. I revoke all vows of poverty and chastity, people of earth. Anyway, you have to laugh. Whereby his semblance had become such as I, O auspicious King, have described to thee. Well, I wouldn't have been in this chaste state if I'd found a man who was available and really loved me and was good and kind and loyal and faithful and passionately romantically in love with me, would I? It's not the cards the gods gifted me, so all I can do is throw my head back and go, ha ha, ha 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 ha, and drag out that smallest violin. Anyway, I have to laugh because I'm sitting outside in the garden and, the fairy can hear me. You can hear me, can't you, fairy realms? Yes, Mama T. We know what it is you're wanting from life. From early dawn that day, Prince Bahman had been watchful and vigilant, ever looking on all sides to descry someone who could supply him with the information touching the whereabouts of the rarities he sought. And this was the first human being he had sighted on that stage, the 20th and last of his journey. So he rode up to him, being assured that the sheikh must be the wight of whom the holy woman had spoken. Then Prince Bahman, dismounting and making low obeisance to the darwish, said, I, my father, Allah Almighty, prolong thy years and grant thee all thy wishes. Whereto the fakir made answer, but in accents so indistinct that the prince could not distinguish a single word he said, and presently Bahman understood that his moustache was on such wise closed and concealed his mouth that his utterance became indistinct, and he only muttered when he would have spoken. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but it reminds me of my ex Courtney. He was a mumbler. His moustache used to drift into his mouth. Oh God, he was feral. Let's call it what it is. He really was feral, people are there. And he used to get mad at me that I couldn't hear him. I couldn't hear him because he mumbled. It was like a vicious cycle, it really was. I love a man who can enunciate and be audible and speak the Queen's English, and, or if he doesn't speak English, speak his own language fluently with great passion and gusto and enunciation. Enunciation, people of Earth. You should practice it. It's good for you, lest you become like Courtney. Anyway, I'm over it now, but it just remind that's true. That's a true story. He used to mumble. In fact, his friend once told me he mumbles faster when he's speeding. I said, that's nice. He meant when he's on speed. It's amazing what methamphetamines can do for drug-addled fucking gronk. But anyway, mumbling faster still didn't make him any more intelligible, so there was that. Where were we? That's right, we were at that. He only muttered when he would have spoken. He therefore halted his horse to a tree and, pulling out a pair of scissors, said, O holy man, thy lips are wholly hidden by this overlong hair. O dear goddess, suffer me, I pray thee, clip the bristling growth which overspreadeth thy face, and which is so long and thick that thou art fearsome to behold, nay, more like to a bear than to a human being. Here's the picture of the fakir who was so covered in his own hair that he was inaudible of speech. Even looks a bit like Courtney, except his beard wasn't that long. But anyway. Oh, he wasn't all bad, our Courtney. He wasn't all bad. I have a few nice things I could say about her. I just choose not to in this moment. I'll reserve them for my few happy memories I have of people. Dear goddess. Right. The Darwish, which I think means kind of a holy man or hermit or guru of some kind, with a nod consented, and when the prince had clipped it and trimmed the growth, his face once more looked young and fresh, as that of a man in the prime of youth. Presently quoth Bahman to him, Would heaven that I had a mirror wherein to show thee thy face, so wouldst thou see how youthful thou seemest, and how thy favour hath become far more like that of folk than whilom it was. These flattering words pleased the Darwish, who, smiling, said, I thank thee much for this thy goodly service and kindly offices, and if in return I can do aught of favour for thee, I pray thee let me know, and I will attempt to satisfy thee in all things with my very heart and soul. You know, it's been 15 years. It's taken 15 years. I wonder if his mother's still alive. She was in her 70s when they split up. Oh well. Then said the prince, I mean, she might be. She was a very strong woman. Scottish background too. His father was Welsh and she was of Scottish forebears. Buchanan was her maiden name. She constantly reminded me, my name is Buchanan. Anyway, wherever you are, Sybil Buchanan, whether alive or dead, be at peace and be happy. My gripe's not with her. I don't really have a gripe with him either, but he was feral at times. No couth. No fucking couth. Anyway. These flattering words pleased the Darwish, who, smiling, said, I thank thee much for this thy goodly service and kindly offices, and if in return I can do aught of favour for thee, I pray thee let me know, and I will attempt to satisfy thee in all things with my very heart and soul. Then said the prince, and try not to laugh. That's a lot of gratitude for a bit of a shave and a clean up, mate. I guess it does feel good when you've been all, gone to the dogs to have your face freshened up. Then said the prince, O holy man, I have come hither from far distant lands, along a toilsome road, in quest of three things, to wit, a certain speaking bird, a singing tree, and a golden water. And this know I for certain, that they are all to be found hard by this sight. The prince, turning to the Darwish, continued, O devotee, albeit well I wot that the three things I seek are in this land and near hand, yet I know not the exact spot wherein to find them. And thou have true information concerning the place, and will inform me thereof, I, on my part, will never forget thy kindness, and I shall have the satisfaction of feeling that this long and toilsome wayfare hath not been wholly vain. Hearing these words of the prince, the Darwish changed countenance, and his face waxed troubled and his colour wan. Then he bent his glance downwards, and sat in deepest silence, whereat the other said, O holy father, dost thou not understand the words wherewith I have bespoken thee? And thou art ignorant of the matter, prithee, let me know straightway, that I may again fare onwards, until such time as I find a man who can inform me thereof. After a long pause, the Darwish made reply, O stranger, 'tis true, I ken full well the site whereof thou art in search, but I hold thee dear in that thou hast been of service to me, and I am loath for thine own sake to tell thee where to find that stead. And the prince rejoined, Say me. Bloody iPhone. I'm so pissed off with this phone. I've had nothing but trouble with it. Let me just delete this video so I can clear things. That's odd, isn't it? Odd. Sorry, I'm just deleting stuff trying to clear my phone. It's madness. It just drives me mad to distraction people here. It truly does. Especially when I've just deleted them and they jump right back. I mean, that's odd too. How many times can I delete the same thing over and over again? Must be some fault with the phone. Yep, just won't let me delete. Madness. Some weird thing from iCloud maybe. I don't know how to fix that problem. This is a trouble. I'm not very good with technology, you probably guessed. And I drift off on things too, which I didn't used to do when I was younger, so this is a new manifestation of poorer mental health by the gods. Anyway, I'm keeping a handle on it. So far so good. It's not good, it's a worry actually. Don't want to get dementia like my mother, for example. And the prince rejoined, Say me, O Fakir, why dost thou withhold this knowledge from me, and wherefore art thou not lief to let me learn it? Replied the other, 'Tis a hard road to travel, and full of perils and dangers. Besides thyself, many have come hither, and have asked the path of me, and I refused to tell them. But they heeded not my warning, and pressed me sore, and compelled me to disclose the secret which I would have buried in my breast. Know, O my son, that all those braves have perished in their pride, and not one hath returned to me safe and sound. Now and thy life be dear to thee. Follow my counsel, and fare no further, but rather turn thee back without stay or delay, and make full house, and home, and family. Hereto Prince Bahman, stern in resolution, made reply, Thou hast, after kindly guise and friendly fashion, advised me with the best of advice, and I, having heard all thou hast today, do thank thee gratefully. But I reck not one jot or tittle of what dangers affront me, nor shall thy threats, however fatal, deter me from my purpose. Kookaburra just flew down. Moreover, if thieves or foemen haply fall upon me, I am armed at point, and can and will protect myself, for I am certified that none can outvie me in strength and stower. Wonder where the water dragon's gone to. Wonder where the king parrot went. Where is everyone, people of earth? To this the fakir made reply, The beings who will cut thy path, and bar thy progress to that place, are unseen of man, nor will they appear to thee on any wise. How then canst thou defend thyself against them? And he replied, So be it. Still I fear not, and I pray thee only show me the road thither. When the Darwish was assured that the prince had fully determined in mind to attempt the exploit, and would by no means turn or be turned back from carrying out his purpose, he thrust his hand into a bag which lay hard by, and took therefrom a ball, and said, Alas, O my son, thou wilt not accept my counsel, and I needs must let thee follow thy wilful way. Take this ball, and mounting thy horse, throw it in front of thee, and as long as it shall roll onwards, do thou ride after it. But when it shall stop at the hill foot, dismount from thy horse, and throw the reins upon his neck, and leave him alone, for he will stay there without moving until such time as thou return. Then manfully breast the ascent. Manfully breast the ascent. And on either side of the path, right and left, thou shalt see a scatter of huge black boulders. Here the sound of many voices in confused clamour and frightful will suddenly strike thine ears, to raise thy wrath, and to fill thee with fear and hinder thy higher course uphill. Have a heed that thou be not dismayed. Also beware, and again say I, beware, lest thou turn thy head at any time, and cast a look backwards, and thy courage fail thee, or thou allow thyself one glance behind thee, thou shalt be transformed that very moment into a black rock. For know thou, O Prince, that all those stones which thou shalt see strewn upon thy way were men whilome, and braves like thyself, who went forth with intent to gain the three things thou seekest, but, frightened at those sounds, lost human shape, and became black boulders. However, shouldst thou reach the hilltop, safe and sound, thou shalt find on the very summit a cage, and perched therein the speaking bird, ready to answer all thy queries. So ask of him where thou mayest find the singing tree and the golden water, and he will tell all thou requirest. When thou shalt safely have seized all three, thou wilt be free from further danger. Yet, inasmuch as thou hast not yet set out upon this journey, give ear to my counsel. I beg of thee to desist from this thy purpose, and return home in peace, whilst thou hast yet the power. The prince made answer to the Darwish, Until, O thou holy man, such time as I win to my purpose, I will not go back. No, never. Therefore, adieu. So he mounted his horse, and threw the ball in front of him, and it rolled forward at racing speed, and he, with gaze intent thereupon, rode after it, and did not suffer it to gain upon him. When it reached the hill whereof the Darwish spake, it ceased to make further way, whereupon the prince dismounted, and throwing the reins on his horse's neck, left him, and fared on afoot to the slope. Pardon me. As soon as he could see, the line of his path from the hill foot to the head was strewn with a scatter of huge black boulders. With all his heart felt naught of fear. He had not taken more than some 4 or 5 paces before a hideous din and a terrible hubbub of many voices arose, even as the Darwish had forewarned him. Prince Bahman, however, walked on valiantly, with front erect and fearless tread, but he saw no living thing, and heard only the voices sounding all around him. Some said, Who is yon fool man, and whence hath he come? Stop him, Let him not pass. Others shouted out, Fall on him, seize this zany and slay him. Then the report waxed louder and louder still, like as to the roar of thunder, and many voices yelled out, Thief! Assassin! Murderer! Another muttered in taunting undertones, Let him be! Fine fellow that he is! Suffer him to pass on, for he, and only he, shall get the cage and the speaking bird. The prince feared naught, but advanced hot-foot with his wonted verve and spirit. Presently, however, when the voices kept approaching nearer and nearer to him, and increased in number on every side, he was sore perplexed. His legs began to tremble. He staggered, and in fine, overcome by fear, he clean forgot the warning of the Darwesh, and looked back, whereat he was incontinently turned to stone, like the scores of knights and adventurers who had foregone him. Oh, he was doing so well too. I was rooting for him, people of Earth. Meantime, the Princess Parizida ever carried a hunting knife, which Bahman her brother had given her, sheathed as it was, in her maiden zone. She had kept it there ever since he set out upon his perilous expedition, and whenever she felt disposed, she would bare the blade and judge by its sheen how fared her brother. Now, until that day when he was transmued to stone, she found it, as often as she looked at it, clean and bright. But on the very evening when that evil fate betided him, perchance Prince Parwez said to Parizida, O sister mine, give me, I pray thee, the hunting knife, that I may see how goeth it with our brother. She took it from her waist belt and handed it to him, and as soon as he unsheathed the knife, lo and behold, he saw gouts of gore begin to drop from it. Noting this, he dashed the hunting knife down and burst out into loud lamentations, whilst the princess, who divined what had happened, shed a flood of bitter tears and cried with sighs and sobs, Alas, O my brother, thou hast given thy life for me. Ah, woe is me and well away! Why did I tell thee of the speaking bird, and the singing tree, and the golden water? Wherefore did I ask that holy woman how she liked out home, and hear of those three things in answer to my question? Would to heaven she had never crossed our threshold and darkened our doors. Ungrateful hypocrite, dost thou requite me on such wise? For the favour and the honour I was fain to show thee? And what made me ask of thee the means whereby to win these things? If now I obtain possession of them, what will they advantage me, seeing that my brother Bahman is no more? What should I ever do with them? Thus did Parizida indulge her grief, bewailing her sad fate, while Parwez, in like manner, moaned for his brother Bahman with exceeding bitter mourning. Might break this up, people of Earth. I'm getting very tired. At last the prince, who despite his sorrow was assured that his sister still ardently desired to possess the three marvels, turned to Parizidar and said, "It behoveth me, O my sister, to set out forthright, and to discover whether Bahman, our brother, met his death by doom of destiny, or whether some enemy have slain him, or if he hath been killed, then must I take full vengeance on his murderer." Parizidar besought him with much weeping and wailing not to leave her, and said, "O joy of my heart, Allah upon thee, follow not in the footsteps of our dear departed brother, or quit me in order to attempt a journey so rife in risks. I care naught for those things in my fear, lest I lose thee, also while attempting such enterprise." But Prince Parwez would in no wise, ant stuck in my book, listen to her lament, and next day took leave of her. But ere he fared, she said to him, "The hunting knife which Bahman left with me was the means of informing us concerning the mishap which happened to him. But say me how I shall know what happeneth to thee." Then he produced a string of pearls which numbered 100, and said, "As long as thou shalt see these pearls all parted one from another, and each running loose upon the string, then do thou know that I am alive. But an thou shouldst find them fixed and adhering together, then be thou aware that I am dead." On that note, we're going to end there, I think. There's quite a bit more to go, and another 10 pages or so, but yes, we'll just stop there. Enough is enough for today, people of Earth. I need a rest, and as I said, I'm not that well at the moment. I don't know what's wrong with me apart from my sleep apnea struggles, but c'est la vie, babies. Nothing new under the sun. Been living like this for, what year is it now? 2025. I was diagnosed in 2003. So 22 years, but in all honesty, I probably had it way before then. Anyway, what can I do? It's why you see me out dancing on the weekend, living my best life, wild and carefree and joyously, in small increments of wildness, 3 or 4 hours during the night, moshing and jiving and thriving, because it's my one opportunity to be out in the world and be full of joy and delight and mischief and dress up and show up and, dance and be happy. And the rest of the week I sit here in my garden, all alone, getting old and a bit silly, and that too is a gift. So I'm not complaining, I'm just pondering the yin and the yang. Anyway, on that note, beautiful people, just try and find my mouse. Here it is. Have a wonderful afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the space-time continuum. The time is currently 5:34 p.m. My laptop's saying the air is poor. Got lovely fresh air here. Why is the air poor? There must be particulates in the air. That might explain why I feel a bit wrung out too. Never mind, people of Earth. I've enjoyed my sojourn in the garden reading to you, and if it's a lovely day tomorrow, I'll be back doing this again, finishing off the story. It probably won't happen till the afternoon. Oh no, wait a minute, no, my appointment's in the afternoon early. So I'll probably have to do it in the morning or later in the evening. Anyway, if it doesn't happen tomorrow, it can happen on Friday. So, yes, bye for now from Sacred Space. Goddess bless.